time, the three bears were coming back, and when they came back, they saw that they said in a big forest. The first one said, "Who's been eating my porridge?" And then the second one, "Who's been eating my porridge?" And then the little one, who said in a very light voice, "Who's been eating my porridge?" And they're eating it all up.
Hello, are you Paul by any chance? Hello Paul, I'm Steve. I used to go to school here a long time ago. It was from 78 to 85 and I was in Maxwell. They still have the same houses? Yeah. You can go in here, yeah? This is where I did my first ever concert performance. Wow. And it hasn't changed at all. And it was a school disco, 1980, and I was so nervous I couldn't stand up because my legs were shaking so much, so I just sat here on the side of the stage and played my guitar. I sat right here, shaking like a leaf, and I had a microphone. I had to sing as well, and I couldn't stand to look at anyone, so I was like looking down all the time. I was very bad at sport, as you can imagine. You're either good at music or you're good at sport. I've never known anyone good at both.
Una vez un niño estaba enfermo, su mamá estaba triste y a los pocos días fueron al hospital y le dijo el doctor que tenía mal el corazón. A los 15 días murió. Su mamá lloraba y lloraba y gritaba, "Ha muerto mi hijo", le decía a todo el vecindario para que la consolaran. Y entonces fue con el doctor y le dijo, "Mi hijo ha muerto". El doctor se puso triste aunque no fuera su hijo y fue una vida infeliz.
All right.
So just take one with your left hand, any one you like.
Okay.
You know, wherever you feel like going.
And turn it over?
Yeah. Well, that's very much about where you are right now. A sense of adventure. Moving into the unknown. Do you see anything?
Coloured rainbow type
Yeah.
spectrum light.
Yeah, rainbow, all the colours of the rainbow. A sense of abundance coming to you. It's positive, you know, what anyone would like to head towards the rainbow.
בקרוב הוא מוציא את אלבום הסולו הראשון שלו, קבלו את סטיבן ווילסון!
I'm good, man. It's Israel. I'm always good in Israel.
You had a cameraman before with you.
Yeah, he's here somewhere.
We're making a documentary about
About
me.
you?
Well, it's about me, very loosely about me. It's more about what it's like to be a musician in the 21st century, and of course Israel being my second home, I definitely wanted to come here and do some filming.
If Israel is a second home, why can't we speak Hebrew?
Certainly in my day, if you were going to enjoy school, you had to be kind of good at sports, and I was good at music. Music was more of a kind of a solitary thing, you know. I mean, you go home and you'd listen to music and you learn to play your instrument and you try to write songs, while the kids were out sort of playing football and skateboarding and stuff. So being into sports was a more social thing. And I had a few very good friends that were into music too, that I formed my first band with. You know, the band I played with in the main assembly hall there the first time was a heavy metal band called Paradox. It wasn't a particularly encouraging place for me. You know, a few good teachers and a few friends, and I couldn't wait to get away from it. I don't want to give you an idea that it was miserable. It wasn't a miserable experience, but it was just kind of dull. You know, it's not the most dynamic, probably, school. This is the dining room. Ah, we own to the cant. Is that sort of code or something? These are things that my dad made for me. When I was a kid, I couldn't afford to buy a lot of gear. We're talking about the sort of 80s here. I wanted to get sounds that I was hearing on the records I was listening to. I would say to my dad, I want to get that sound, Dad, and I would sort of play him a record by Beatles or Tangerine Dream or something like that. And he would go off and he would build these things for me. And this is, he built me like a sequencer, he built me a delay, a tape delay machine. And this is actually a vocoder, and it still works. Quite recently I've used it.
The vocoder I actually got out of a magazine. That was one of these sort of practical electronics or something of it. And I just happened to see it, and I thought, oh, I've always sort of liked the idea of a vocoder. I've got building one.
This actually is a little multi-track cassette machine. Now, when I started to make music, these things called Porter Studios had just come out. They were little cassette-based machines that you could multi-track record on. In other words, you could overdub yourself playing different instruments and then mix. I really wanted one of these, and obviously I couldn't afford it. I was like 12 years old or something. And my dad said, never mind about that, I'll make you one. And he did. On the multi-track, little 4-track, you put a pitch control.
Oh yes, so I did, yes.
A really extreme one. I mean, you might get one that subtly allows you to, but yours was really extreme.
Right.
So I could use that while I was recording sounds to create really weird effects.
Yes, I did. I didn't remember doing that.
And also the other thing you probably remember is that this doesn't have any erase head.
Oh no, that's right. No, you had to use pre-blank tapes, didn't you? Yeah.
So I had to basically, because it doesn't have any erase head, anything I recorded, if I got it wrong, I couldn't erase it.
No.
I had to start again. Or I could go over it again,
Yes.
but you would still hear the thing underneath too.
Yes, yeah.
The gym. I didn't spend any time in there, don't worry. In fact, I don't think I've ever been in that room. 5 years, 7 years I was here. Oh, blimey, look at that. I've got the lyrics written out by my friend Malcolm. Now, Malcolm was the guy that I originally dreamt up the ridiculous concept of Porcupine Tree with, and he wasn't a musician, kind of inspiring me to make this kind of music. So here we got his lyrics to a song called Towel, which I think in the end was an instrumental, and that's his speech from Yellow Hedgerow Dreamscape. Open your heart to the universe. It was kind of cosmic psychobabble. It was kind of pastiching kind of 60s, 70s cosmic hippie sort of approach to doing things. And that's dated January the 4th, 1989. Here we are, almost 20 years ago.
Look at this. This is the original SWHQ here.
Oh, wow.
See, obviously
That's
set
brilliant.
up for bass communion and stereo.
That
you know.
is brilliant.
It is.
Foghorn station.
But look, it's got these giant things. It's obviously using pressurised air to get out the notes. It's fantastic. And then I got a shot of an in-between one as well. Postcard fairs. No,
That's the best, isn't
beautifully
it?
strange, isn't
That is strange, beautiful, you're right. Strange, beautiful we like, but we also like decay.
Nuclear is just a blip in history, really. Hey look, here comes the train.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny because people ask me quite a lot why are there trains so much in my songs, and there's a lot of references to trains, and specifically decay and a kind of nostalgic view of trains. I grew up not right next to a station, but quite near to a station, and now I have this kind of association of sound and feeling when I hear the sound of a train, particularly the sound of a train pulling into a station. And it's almost like that kind of Proustian thing where a certain event, trivial or otherwise, triggers off a whole kind of series of memories, feelings, smells, sights, sounds. And it all comes from just lying in bed when I was very young, hearing the sound of these trains kind of hissing in and out of the station. But definitely the association with trains has always been a slightly nostalgic one for me, because I've not really used trains since I was a kid, you know. I'm very lazy, and I'm very happy just to get to my car and drive off, and I'll never get on a train unless I absolutely have to. So trains are kind of somehow preserved in aspect for me, and as a particular part of my childhood. It's interesting, growing up in a small town, I think maybe does give you more of a sense of wanderlust and a passion and a curiosity for discovering, you know, well, there must be more, you know, there must be more out there. No, I'm going to walk. I'm living just nearby. I haven't decided which song yet. Yeah, it's rock and roll, man. We just make it up as we go along. It's rock and roll. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the UK, Stephen Wilson.
I need a quick lesson, mate. I can't get excited by an age where all music is just like a piece of software that you download into a little thing like that, and then I can't. Yeah, but I can't get excited about the you know, I still love to collect I'll still have to buy albums and stuff, you know, and see artwork and collect and file, you know, alphabetically, chronologically.
Redemption song.
Okay, all right.
So, I love this man. You see, this guy.
The duck is.
He's my Schindler List of
Why
me.
don't we just change
he
our
took
name
an
to the
Israeli
Duckies?
musician and took me out from Israel, like Schindler List, you know, the film. Yeah.
I'm the Oscar Schindler.
Yeah. So you want like a breakfast? Yeah.
Yeah, let's go and.
Okay.
Here in Tel Aviv, and as you can see, the bombers and the terrorists all around us. I think a lot of people are terrified about the political situation here, but I've been here maybe 50, 60 times over the last 7 years now. And you don't see any iPods here as well, it's fantastic. If you actually go into Tel Aviv, you don't see people with iPods. It's almost like they can't be bothered with iPods. They'd much rather hear live music or listen to music at home. And that's so refreshing. Israelis are very interactive people. It's not like they walk around, avoiding eye contact like they do in other cities in the world. They're always out to make friends and communicate and meet new people. Stars in the country, summer in her. I'm not as closed and self-conscious as I used to be, I think. It's the one place that's changed me more than anything else. In a good way, I think. I'm much more relaxed on stage as well than I used to be. I used to spend the whole show staring at my shoes, But now I'm much more relaxed on stage. I'm much more relaxed as a musician. I'm much more relaxed as a person about my life and not so kind of stressed out about where have I got to, where am I going, what am I looking for in life, all this stuff that I think you're obsessed with when you're like 20, 25, 30. The first time I came to Israel, I was in my very early 30s, and maybe I began to change at that time anyway, but Israel really kind of helped to change the way I thought about what was important in life, The most important thing for me, well, there's two important things. One of them is to feel like you've left something behind of some kind of legacy behind of some importance and significance. I'm talking about, I'm talking about the work now.
Right. I'm waiting to hear the second thing, if you don't mind. I'm intrigued. One is legacy.
And the other is, can we interview you as well?
Where are you from?
From London.
Yeah. What are you, a musician?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Steve Wilson.
What kind of music do you make?
Weird shit.
Lean into it. Wow. Whoa, whoa. Do you really think you need to put that in the lyrics?
Well, you know, some people, they
This song seems to be called Cheese. I like that. Cheese.
Just because he has the word cheese on it.
No, I think it's called Cheer, actually. But the way it's written, it looks like it could be Cheese, which I think is a better type personally.
Yeah.
How do you, if you're a record company, how do you sell the same album to the same person 4 times? You sell the vinyl, you sell the CD, you sell the remastered CD, and now the definitive version, the Japanese LP replica. No, it's crap. And again, mate, sorry. The Fairy Symphony. How prog is that? Can you imagine anything more prog than an album called The Fairy Symphony? It's got to be good, right? Oh, yes. Been looking for that one. It's hard to find now, that one. Caravan in the Land of Grey and Pink. It's hard to find this one in this format. Good one?
Oh, very good. I have that too.
This one, it's a good record. I like this.
It sounds like a fairy tale.
It's a very strange record.
I like it.
No, I like it a lot. It's got Mikael Akerfeldt on it.
I think I have another one with him. That's also
Fine Old Tom. This has Mikael Akerfeldt on it. He's not credited. I love these Japanese.
That's not with Sandy Danny.
No, but it's a great record.
It's okay.
Sloth, this is an amazing track.
Sloth,
yeah. These days, a cover representation of a music has been reduced to just a piece of paper in a crystal case, isn't it? I mean, a vinyl cover was something really tangible and aesthetic. You could actually hold it in your hands, you could feel the texture. It was like a painting, it was the size of a painting. To me, the cover's part of the piece. You know, the music on the CD or the record or whatever it is part of the presentation, and the other part of the presentation is the artwork. I've never really considered the two to be separate. I've never understood why some musicians are happy to make a great record and then put it in a sort of functional piece of shit sleeve, you know, like the Bends or OK Computer. Great records, shit sleeves. Such a disappointment. And visually, so many artists just don't seem to give a shit about the way their art's presented. I've never understood that. You know, I grew up in a time when it was all vinyl. And you know, when you were listening to the records, you were kind of, you were reading the credits, you were kind of feeling the texture of the paper and the card, and you were kind of just, you know, holding the thing. It was pouring over it, you know, absorbing everything you could. And CDs kind of did away with all that. CDs would kind of reduce music to the level of software instead of art. And I think that's the problem. And to be fair, CDs have got a lot better. You know, for 10 years or so, they were just so functional. And I think now there's a kind of trend back towards, a movement back towards packaging and a more visual aesthetic with the way music is presented. I think partly because people are beginning to realise that unless you give people something nice visually, they're just going to download it. There's no reason to buy a CD unless you give them something that they really feel they want to own. Yeah, what next? Now, of course, you've got many people who are listening to music, and their visual companion to that is a little icon on an iPod screen.
It's really a heavy hammer. Yeah, tell me about it.
if you're into really great sounding records and listening to them from vinyl, you know, if you were to get yourself a really good stereo and a deck and the whole bit, and listen to, say, you know, really good pressings of stuff like Year of the Cat by Al Stewart, or, you know, beautifully engineered by the Alan Parsons guy. It's absolutely wonderful. And, you know, pretty much any Pink Floyd album, you know, any Queen record, they sound terrific. Then play the MP3 through the same system straight afterwards, and you get the shot of your life. You realise what you've been listening to.
I totally agree. Isn't part of the problem now that there's a whole generation of kids growing up thinking that MP3s is how music is supposed to sound?
Yeah.
And they'll never get the opportunity to hear the alternative.
Well, they do in a funny sort of way, because maybe that's, you know, live sound's definitely getting better. And people like to go to live shows because the sound's big and exciting.
God is fashion, God is fame, God gives meaning, God gives pain. You can be right like me with God in all your righteous soul. Hey, lean around me, hey, lean around me. And I'm not the same as you, cause I've seen the light and I'm getting it right now. Hey, lean around me, hey, lean around me.
Actually prefers the music they get through their headphones to the sound produced on CD and vinyl. The theory from Stanford University in California has outraged music purists, including the British Grammy-nominated musician Stephen Wilson. Such is his fury that he's captured his violent loathing of MP3 players on camera. Stephen is with me to explain why. Why do you think the old iPod is the devil's plaything?
Well, there's three basic issues for me. The first reason is the quality is very poor. For me, it's like the equivalent of looking at a photocopy of a beautiful painting. It's a very compressed, convenient way of listening to something that actually should be listened to at the highest possible level. It's a piece of art, after all. Gospel Oak. Oh, it's a good cover, though.
Yeah, but it's not. That's why I bought it. But
yeah.
It's not good.
Shit.
This is now my favorite record, one of my favorites of all time.
It's a great record.
Sophie!
Can you sing us a song, Suze?
Which song? Again?
No, sing your Tokyo Hotel song.
No.
Why?
It's embarrassing. Because I don't even like Tokyo Hotel.
Yes, you do. You love that song.
No, I don't.
And you think the singer's super hot.
Well...
There are some albums where, I mean, like that one we just looked at, I forget what it was now, where the cover's great, but the record's shit. That one, I love this cover.
Yeah.
It's great. All his covers have got that, like the Spring cover and the Black Sabbath, and the second Dando Shaft album. Do you have that one? That one. I love that one. The burnt out merry-go-round. Yeah.
And then this one he did.
Yeah. He's a genius.
Yeah, but where is he? If you're in a metal or like a death metal band, like parts of us are still death metal.
Yeah.
You're in a way your taste is kind of limited to dark type pictures.
Yeah, dark. Yeah, but why are so many metal covers so extraordinarily cliched and tasteless?
Because that's what the audience wants.
Is it that? Is it the audience driving?
Usually, if you hear a band that you like musically, usually they have a kind of design for their albums that you like too. You know, at least that's good for me.
Well, normally I would say that's true, but with metal bands, it's hardly ever true.
No, because there's not many good metal bands.
It's the fun.
Yeah, which is such a cliche. Now, is it because that's what their audience want, or is it just because they haven't got any other ideas?
I think we don't do it. Our pictures, they're the same. We like bumps, because I can, like photo sessions when I don't know what type of photos a metal band should have, but what I see is like this.
Yeah.
Every Metal Hammer cut,
Yeah. Yeah, it's the cliche,
you know, and I can't do that.
Yeah.
I've done a few and I just see, and I see those pictures, I see in my eyes, I'm suffering. I just did a photo session with Angela from Arch Enemy for a cover of a magazine. And she went with I was standing with a sword. like this.
Oh, that one's going framed on my wall.
And it was like almost like from the bad news.
Yeah, Warriors.
You got to look mean. That's what I felt like.
When you come from a place like Hampstead, you're always looking for those little inspirations, you know, whether it's just going down to the local library and finding in the music section a Frank Zappa album or something like that. And in a way, I kind of feel sorry for kids now because they have so many more advantages and it's so much easier for them. It's like, for me, discovering a Frank Zappa or a Pink Floyd record in the local library was a kind of epiphanal moment. You had to really work for it, and you had to, if you wanted to hear music, you had to decide. I mean, I can only afford to buy one record every month, you know, with my pocket money. So you go down to Our Price Records, as it was then, in Marlowe's, and you'd look through the records, and you had to make a really big decision about which music am I going to invest my time and my money and my energy in this time. And then when you bought that record and you took it home, you devoured it for days and days and days, and you decoded it and you tried to find anything you could from it that would inspire you. And of course now, because kids can just download not just a record by an artist, but the entire back catalogue by an artist in a few seconds, they can dismiss it just as easily. So if you know, a kid hears now about Pink Floyd and he wants to check them out, or the Beatles, he wants to check them out, he goes to the internet, he downloads everything, doesn't cost him a penny, takes him a few minutes, can listen to a few tracks. If it doesn't sort of connect immediately, erase.
Erase, 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 erase.
Well, so he knocks me out. He gives me that. I don't know. They don't do it anymore. They used to do like this gas thing. Nowadays it's all like local anesthetic, but in those days it was gas. It would knock you out. You'd wake up, and the dentist would have finished whatever he was going to do, rip your teeth out, whatever it was. So anyway, in this dream, I'm at the dentist, and I wake up from this. Instead of removing my tooth, he like hands me my head, and it's in this kind of glass goldfish bowl. And I take it from him and I put it under my arm. And so I'm carrying my head under my arm, and I'm walking out of the dentist's surgery. And the dentist and the dental nurse are like standing at the top of the steps, smiling and waving. It's like something out of fucking Little House on the Prairie or something. And as I'm walking down the steps with my head, I like trip over and I fall down the steps, and my head rolls down the steps, and it rolls across the road, and on the other side of the road there's like this field of corn, and my head rolls into this field of corn and out of sight, and I'm crawling across the road on my hands and knees, and I'm crawling into this cornfield, searching with my hands to try and find this. I'm dreaming in reverse.
Steve. Steve, ¿qué estás haciendo?
Steve. Steve, ¿qué estás haciendo?
I don't know what me is. I don't know what, it's like David Bowie said, I don't really know what the real David Bowie is myself. And I think I don't know what real me is either. Okay, well, nice to meet you, man. I think we're going to go and find a tea or something. Have a good time.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Hey, can I be really rude and get a picture, please?
Okay, that's not really rude.
Excuse me? Can you get a picture, please?
Okay, thanks,
thank
man.
you.
Thank you. Okay, last one, then we're going to get some tea. Thank you. Okay,
Very much.
Thanks. Enjoy. Science block, right? Still? Design and technology, yeah. And what do they do with this block now?
It's an IT block.
Okay, because it used to be called the inquiry block when I was here. And I never really figured out what inquiry was. This is basically a civilization now that kind of amused itself to the point of Katatonia almost. And that's why we have programs like American Idol and Celebrity Big Brother and I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here and this kind of stuff. It's become mind-numbing, really. And music now has been reduced, particularly with the whole kind of American Idol, Pop Idol thing. Music has been reduced to this kind of charade where people who really should be doing, you know, if they're musicians at all, they should be singing on cruise ships or in wine bars. You know, that's about the level of creativity they have. But instead, they're being elevated to this level of you know, music icons, music superstars, and inspiring a whole generation of people after them to aspire to that too. That the most important thing in life is to be famous. The whole thing about American Idol is it's almost a way for the music business to regain control of music, of pop music, because they were really losing control of it. I mean, if you think back to the kind of post-grunge sort of Nirvana era, when a lot of the most important rock music again was coming out of independent labels, kids making music in their bedroom. And the way the major music business, the big record labels, found to kind of regain that ground was to create this, literally create, manufacture. I mean, they've always manufactured, you know, bands in the past. You go back to the Bay City Rollers and stuff like that. They've always manufactured music, but at least they were a little bit more subtle about it. They tried to perpetuate the myth that these bands actually had you know, come together through their own volition and created and written their own songs. Now they don't even pretend. They actually put the whole charade up on the screen for you and say, look, we're manufacturing this. This is a complete fake, and you're still going to buy it. Rain in Blood, 29 minutes. Pet Sounds, 35 minutes. Revolver, 33 minutes.
33 minutes.
The Notorious Bird Brothers, 28 minutes. Classic albums all. They expect music, they expect it to be crammed as if you can sort of buy music by the yard. We get fans complaining.
There's not enough on it.
Our last
Would you have had that with Fear of Blank Planet?
That was 50 minutes long, that album. We've had people complaining that for their $10 or whatever it is they pay on Amazon, that it wasn't 60, 70 minutes plus. It was only 50 minutes long. And I'm like, well,
that's madness. They can't be the
Of course
real
it is.
fan.
Kids listening to music off their fucking phone. I saw some guy standing at a bus stop the other day listening to. What do you think of it? I mean, for goodness sake, MP3 off this little. Oh my god, that's the most tragic of all. But you know what? I think you're right. This music, in the 70s and even in the 80s when I was growing up, music was the number one way that you would use to define your personality as distinct from your parents' personality. So you get to a certain age and you're a chip off the old block. You're like a mini version of your parents. You get to a certain age and you start to rebel against your parents. And the number one way to do that when I was growing up, and I'm sure when you guys were growing up, was music. You get into David Bowie, you get into Pink Floyd, or you get into the Smiths or whatever it was. Gary Newman. Now I don't think music is the number one way that kids rebel. I think it's, as you say, it's all this other shit like computer games or kind of trainers you wear or...
That's what I was wondering about.
This band here, this is Amber Dawn actually, this is Mark. Now Mark was really, he lived around the corner.
Yes.
He was my first musical sort of companion.
School friend.
He was a school friend, but he was the one who was into music, so we...
From 6.
Yeah.
You knew when you were 6.
And his big brother had a big record collection, and all the music that we first heard things like Camel, Hawkwind, Yes, he had those in his record collection. And we formed this band called Amber Dawn. And this guy here's Richard Hayward. Do you remember Richard?
Mm.
He was a bit older than us, but he was. I don't remember how we found him.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this is Mum's dining room, which permanently had Mark's drum kit set up in it.
We had the shed down there then, and we had complaints from neighbours then. It was a bit too much.
One day they performed in the garden when we were out,
Yeah,
and
that's right,
a friend of mine round the corner said, "We didn't think you'd let that happen, Maureen. Must have heard it for miles around."
First it was Paradox, which is the heavy metal band. Then I had Amber Dawn, which is very short-lived, and then it was Karma.
And again, I wasn't quite happy with a couple of notes that I thought, well, a bit out of time.
The wall of noise aspect in your solo album, did you incorporate those elements on purpose to actually challenge your audience? Because you know that maybe if they are going to buy a solo Stephen Wilson album, that they are expecting to have beautiful songs, but at some point in the song that you will provoke them with totally different kind of tonalities, different kind of frequencies. Is that a thing you did on purpose, or is it just that you wanted to have that noise aspect part of the composition?
I love that you can write beautiful ballads and you can destroy the mood completely with something unexpected, noise-like. And so that song, Get All You Deserve, which starts off as a very melancholic piano ballad, and then gradually layers and layers and layers, until you've completely obliterated anything that was there at the beginning of the track. I've always liked that. I've always admired people that go beyond, you go as far as you think you can possibly go, and then you go even further.
I think that all the internet thing and the download culture and the iPod culture and whatever you call it, it's a very good thing for music. Very, very good thing. One of the best things that happened to music.
Well, I don't actually, you might be surprised to hear that I don't disagree with you on that. In fact, I think the internet probably has in many ways liberated music in a way from a kind of period of time when it was very much in control of the record companies and in control of marketing, and what the internet did was provide an opportunity for artists to go directly to their audience. And obviously you have now groups like Radiohead and Nine Inch Nails making their music directly available over the internet.
And you've got a MySpace.
And I think that's all fantastic. I suppose it's like anything in life, that there is plus and negative to anything. Any technological development has its plus and its negatives. The negative side of the internet and iPod culture and download culture is that it has made music devalued to the point where people don't really expect to pay for it, and they don't really perhaps absorb it in the same way that they used to.
New album is not
it's not the event.
It's not an event anymore.
But it used to be.
You listen to it weeks, months, 6 months before the official release date, until on the day of the official release day, it's an old record.
It's interesting.
It's an old one.
No, I agree. It's interesting, isn't it, that the big events in the last year have been the release of albums on the internet, download, like the Radiohead in Rainbows. All the press was about the download release, and when the album finally came out, it was like, oh, was the Radiohead album out? I mean, that's interesting, and perhaps there is a way that music will kind of gradually move more and more towards that, and you will have the big event releases again, but there'll be virtual download releases. I used to wish I was born 20 years earlier, because I think in many respects, the golden era of music for me still, the late 60s and the 70s. There was this incredible explosion of creativity coming out of the kind of singles era and moving in with bands like the Beatles and the Beach Boys and Hendrix and The Who and Pink Floyd, coming out of psychedelic music into progressive music, into art rock, into the great era of the album, when the album really became elevated to the level of a great art form. Whereas before the album had been literally a collection of singles or a collection of songs, suddenly there were people who were looking at the album as an art form in its own right. And there was a great era from 67 through to punk 77, where the album really became the primary art form. And then punk came along, and I think it needed to. I mean, I love a lot of punk and post-punk music, but I think punk music really kind of ended the golden era of the album as art form. And so I have a certain nostalgia for that era. I feel like I should have been, you know, in a way, making music at that time. But on the other hand, I feel that's coming back again. I feel there are, you know, certain artists that are bringing that whole philosophy back. Yeah. Whether it's bands like Sigur Rós or Flaming Lips or Tool or Mars Volta or Opeth or whoever it is, there are a lot of bands I think really making great albums again. In terms of my regrets for the future, it's hard, you know, because the music industry, as at least the way I know it and the way I love it, is kind of dying to an extent.
Yeah.
I think it's being reborn into something else, and I'm not quite sure what that thing is yet.
Holy Mother of the simple one, you can smother me and bring me down. You betray your thoughts. All your prayers to Lord.
The suffering or the bad memories are as important as the good memories and the good experiences. If you sort of can imagine life as being 99% of the time quite linear, and most of the time you're in a state of neither happiness nor sadness, and then that 1% of the time you experience moments of very crystallized happiness or crystallized sadness or loneliness or depression. And I believe all of those moments are very potent, and it's like I said to you, that for me it's mostly those moments, those crystalline moments of melancholy, which are more inspirational to me. And in a strange way, they become quite beautiful in their own way. Music that is sad, melancholic, depressing, is in a kind of perverse way more uplifting. I find happy music extremely depressing. Mostly quite depressing. It's particularly if it's happy music that has no spirituality behind it. If it's just sort of mindless party music, quite depressing, you know. But largely speaking, I'd say I was the kind of person that responds more to melancholia, and it makes me feel good. And I think the reason for this is that I think if you respond strongly to that kind of art, it's because in a way it makes you feel like you're not alone. It makes us feel like we're not alone. So when we hear a very sad song, it makes us realise that we do share this kind of common human experience. We're all kind of bonded in sadness and melancholia and depression.
You're sleeping.
Specifically, I like the Victorian, sort of late 19th century tradition of taking pictures of the dead, almost as if you can preserve their soul somehow in the celluloid or whatever it's made of. But also the fact those pictures were so beautiful. They were actually pieces of art. It wasn't like some cheesy B-movie horror image. It was something actually quite beautiful and peaceful. And in fact, when you looked at those pictures for the first time, you didn't realise the babies were dead at all, the children were dead. It just looked like they were kind of in repose or in sleep. But you knew something was not right. Then when you looked closer, you realised what it was. I don't know, it's one of the things that scares me about having children. Just the thought that you might lose them. And how do you cope with that? And do you ever recover from that? And isn't it easier not just to not have kids at all, you know? Some of these are so human, aren't they? Like this one. They don't have blackboards anymore. It's all gone high-tech, wipey things. Oh, really? Political correctness gone mad. This is the sports field where I regularly got myself kicked to pieces. When I came here in 1978, I was really a big football fan. I love football. And so my parents, of course, sent me to a school where they played rugby. And I got the shit kicked out of me. Every day. Right here. Because I was tiny, I was really little as well. Hated it. Hated sport. And this is the art block. Wow, God. This industry, the music industry, is a heartbreaking industry. As with any artistic industry, it's a really heartbreaking industry because you have to be able to create something from the heart and then be prepared to have someone trample all over it. The difference is, if you, like when I was working for a computer company, I would go to the office 9 to 5, 5 days a week. If someone didn't like my work at work, fine. They criticised my work. I didn't take it personally. I went home. It didn't matter. But if someone tells you that the music you've just spent the last year of your life writing, recording, producing, mixing, mastering, touring is a piece of shit, what they've effectively done is they've said that you are a piece of shit. Because the music, the art, is an extension of yourself. That's not true of an office job. Your job doing whatever, cataloguing, whatever it is you're doing, or selling computers, that's not an extension of your own personality. But music is. It's a creative expression of your own heart and soul. And so it's really heartbreaking, and so many people find that very hard to deal with and give up, you know, because you spend a year making a record and then you see somebody reviewing it say, it's a piece of shit. They've just basically dismissed a whole year of your life. Well, they've dismissed you. They've dismissed you like that. You're worthless, you're a piece of shit. What you're doing is pointless. And that's very hard to get used to. Very hard to get used to.
Razones por las que la industria musical del siglo XXI apesta. Porque toda la música se ha reducido a un software. Porque los MP3 suenan de la verga. Porque las generaciones han crecido con MTV y tienen un coeficiente intelectual de una mosca. El estar pendejeando, la letanía de Satanás que es American Idol, los nuevos reproductores de música, los iPods, que solamente promueven la cultura de los grandes hits. ¡Apatía!
there was times when I realised I was doing things for the wrong reason. I was doing things in order to please other people and not myself. And I do believe very strongly that being a true artist means, in fact, being incredibly self-indulgent and incredibly selfish about what you do. And that self-indulgence and that selfishness is what separates for me an artist from an entertainer. And that's been really my rule for the last 10 years at least, but more than that really. Since Flowermouth, that album, when I really realised that I felt sick at the idea, I felt physically ill at the idea of making music that I didn't believe in. So my art teacher was a guitar player, and he used to have, after school, he used to have little guitar lessons with like 3 or 4 pupils. So he taught me some of my first songs and first chords on the guitar. Great guy. Mr. Jackson was his name. And there's a guitar as well. He doesn't still work here, does he, Mr. Jackson? It's amazing how everything seems so small, you know. Kind of you remember it as being your whole world. You come back and the rooms are tiny.
Básicamente es para que escuchen su primer disco solista.
Deja que avance más. Que avance
Ah,
más.
go ahead. Again.
Some of you might be wondering why I would make a solo record and what's different about my solo record that you haven't already heard from my other projects. And hopefully that will become obvious when you hear the record. There you go. That's better.
Discordant love today, the north will soon become. I lost too much today, so myth will now become. I threw my life away. For what? I blew my chances too. I see the bitter truth. How did I relinquish our
Great. Marvellous times. But the music's good, I think.